Drew McIntyre most recently on Friday Night SmackDown. She's been able to work against almost every diva on the current WWE roster, no matter if she won or she lost. And she was also one of the most improved divas, I think, of 2009. It was either 2009 or 2010. I think right around the time when she was traded from Raw to SmackDown in the 2010 draft, she actually earned the reputation of being one of the most improved divas in the professional wrestling industry, and I definitely think a lot of credit needs to be handed out to her for being able to do that, because she was a diva who was discovered from being a model in a catalog. Vince McMahon and John Laurinaitis both liked the way she looked, and that's pretty much how she landed a contract. She was sent down to OVW as Barbara Blank, competed in a lot of in-ring segments, and was able to improve on her skills before she was contracted in June of 2006 by WWE. She spent a lot of her time down there in OVW, and how she got the reputation of being Barbie Blank was basically because her friends referred to her as being a Barbie doll. And and then she went to OVW and basically made a reputation for herself there. We didn't get to see much of her in OVW. It was really, in WWE when she really became a breakthrough star and was able to transition from being nothing more than an exhibitionist used in vignettes for ECW. She was able to make that valuable transition from being a exhibitionist, which was pretty much nothing, into an in-ring competitor. She started out slow, and as the months and the years went by, her in-ring craft, got better and improved greatly. And I think that a lot of credit needs to be due where credit is due for that. One of the biggest problems, there are pros and cons with every superstar in professional wrestling, no matter if it's in WWE or TNA. Kelly definitely has a lot of pros, but along with her pros come a lot of cons. One of the biggest problems I have with Kelly is the fact that she'll start a storyline with somebody, no matter if it's Balls Mahoney, no matter if it's John Morrison, who she did a lot of work with in ECW, no matter if it's The Miz, no matter if it's Kane, no matter if it's Drew McIntyre. Most recently, we saw that storyline killed and strayed away from on Friday Night SmackDown, and nothing was really done with it after. And Kelly started a program with Dolph Ziggler and Vicky Guerrero, which she has absolutely no business being a part of. But one of the biggest problems I saw with a lot of Kelly's storylines were the fact that the storyline would start and they'd last about a month. The storylines with her involved would start and they'd last about a month. And then after the month would conclude and finish, the storyline would just basically be killed and have no ending to it. The storylines that she was in would always have a beginning and some type of meaning and some type of purpose, but they'd never reach a climax or they'd never have a conclusion. She'd always start these storylines, and I can never emphasize on this enough, no matter if it's in a audio commentary or a text column that I write here weekly on the website. In this corner with Jonathan Clarke is a column that emphasizes on Kelly a lot from week to week. No matter if I'm talking about it or no matter if I'm writing about it, I can never emphasize on this point, this crucial point, enough. She starts these storylines and they're never finished or they're never heard tell of again. One of the prime examples of this would have been the storyline that she had in 2009 as part of the Raw brand with Kane. Kane had kind of an obsession with Kelly. Following the 2000, and it was either the 2009, I think it was the 2009 Slammy Awards. Kane had some kind of obsession with her, and he was basically stalking her from week to week. And then all of a sudden the storyline, concludes, and nothing is ever done with it. It involved superstars like The Miz and Randy Orton as well. But you'd see these backstage vignettes from week to week, and it seemed like it was a storyline that was basically lost in the woods. Lost in the annals of time or something like that, and nothing was ever done with it. Another perfect example of that were the storylines that she worked with Tiffany, and they had some kind of faction going prior to Tiffany's release. Nothing was ever done with that. She was given a push to become the women's or divas champion, one or the other. On SmackDown, nothing was ever done with that. It was kind of, wrapped up once WWE Creative lost a sufficient amount of faith in her, and she was basically rejected to being the Divas or Women's Champion on a number of different occasions. She was even booked in a pay-per-view match against Layla for the WWE Women's Championship at the 2010 Money in the Bank pay-per-view this past July, and nothing was ever done with that, and she was just basically, brought back to being a person who you'd see in backstage vignettes. The storyline that she worked with Drew McIntyre, I saw absolutely no point in that. It was just canceled off television. Nothing was ever done with it after. These storylines that she's involved in basically vanish, and nothing is ever done with them after. And that's one of the biggest problems I see with her character. She blames a lot of people for, destroying her character, especially on Friday Night SmackDown. She just recently blamed Vicky Guerrero for destroying her character and what her character is all about. And the problem I have with that is, what character are you making reference to? Because from the majority of the time that you spent from 2006 to 2011, you didn't have much of a character to destroy, because your character never developed on mic skills. Your character definitely developed on ring skills, because we saw your move arsenal expand from 3 moves to 15 or 20. You didn't have much of a character to destroy in terms of acting or anything like that, and the majority of the time that you spent in the ring was well worth it, because your in-ring arsenal definitely expanded, but you didn't have much of a character to destroy. Your character really blossomed on SmackDown, but for what blossomed, you didn't really have much of a character to destroy. So, when you talk about destroying your character, like you make reference to on Friday Night SmackDown, I think a lot of fans are lost, and they wonder, what kind of character you're talking about, because you didn't really have much of a character to destroy. And the problem that I have with her, she's booked in these matches, and it's the people she's booked against that are left with the responsibility of making her look good. No doubt she has, tremendous looks, and definitely looks sell, and probably that's one of the main reasons WWE make the decision to keep her around from time to time, either to, star in a commercial or a pay-per-view promo or something like that, or be involved in a magazine photo shoot. She was just recently involved in the 2011 Divas calendar, which looks absolutely phenomenal, and she also appeared on a number of different WWE magazine covers that are absolutely phenomenal. So maybe that's the reason why, she's always around. She's constantly appearing in a photo shoot, a commercial, a pay-per-view promo, whatever. But I remember one particular time, Ken Boland told me in an interview he didn't think Kelly was going to last anywhere from a month to 6 weeks. And I think that, he was right to a certain extent, because we just recently saw her fired, probably because WWE Creative really doesn't know what to be doing with her right now. Maybe they gave her some time off of television to decide what direction they're going to take her character in. It seems like from week to week they change her storylines up, like they change their socks in the morning. Maybe she'll come back as a stronger heel or something like that, but it seems like WWE Creative are kind of lost with her character more than anything, and they really don't know what to be doing with her. It's going to be interesting to see what type of role she comes back in on Friday Night SmackDown, no matter if it's on Friday Night SmackDown or Monday Night Raw or something like that. It's going to be interesting to see what direction her character goes in, and I think that's one of the main reasons they gave her time off of television, because they really don't know what direction to be taking her character in. One week she's doing a program with Lay Cool over the Women's or Divas Championship. The next week she's doing a program with Drew McIntyre, Kane, or somebody like that. She's being booked in these pointless matches for the World Heavyweight Championship that absolutely make no sense to me. What good? How is it going to benefit the ratings to see Edge and Kelly teaming up against Dolph Ziggler and Lay Cool in a 2-on-3 handicap match for the World Heavyweight Championship? I remember one particular time, I even wrote an email to Kelly one time, and I said, if you keep up, the path you're on, you're either going to end your career or you're going to end up being booked in world title matches. And my theory was absolutely correct and all that. So, I think that, WWE Creative really don't know what to be doing with her character. They're constantly trading her from brand extension to brand extension. They really don't know where to be putting her right now or how to be booking her. And generally, what they do with a character, they don't know how to be booking or what direction to be taking them in. Generally, what you'll see them do is you'll see them, trade the character to Raw, SmackDown, all over the place, and then eventually the character is released and never heard from again. if we do not see her on Friday Night SmackDown, I really don't see her having a future in TNA, because TNA's knockout division is absolutely far more superior to the WWE Diva division right now. They have a tremendous amount of talent, a tremendous array of talent in TNA's knockout division, and given Kelly's in-ring skills, no doubt she's one of the most improved divas to ever step through the ropes of WWE's ring. But with the tremendous amount of talent that TNA's knockout division portrays right now, and the image that they have,